Okay, hello and welcome back to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling Channel. My name is Scott and I'm joined by the one and only Masked Man himself, Rob, over here as well. And we got some breaking news to talk about. That, of course, is the full lineups for WrestleMania Saturday and WrestleMania Sunday. So we'll be back talking about that, diving real deep into it right after this.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling Channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, so as I said, welcome back to our channel here, the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling Channel. And yeah, we've got some breaking news, Rob. It's been about time, mate. What are we? 2 nights away from WrestleMania Saturday, and we finally figured out what's actually going on that night. I feel like last year it was a little bit quicker than this. Obviously, before this recent announcement, which we'll be getting into, and I haven't even looked at this properly yet, so I'm kind of reacting blind. But before this announcement, of course, we knew at least 2 of the matches. We knew one on Saturday and one on Sunday, of course. One being the main event of night 2, Cody, Rhodes, and Roman Reigns. Of course, I'm sure you would agree. Probably the best thing to go at the end of night 2, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, if you're going to go for the WWE Universal Undisputed Championship or whatever they're branding it, then the only thing you can do is have that main event. Obviously, that's the main title. So it'd be a bit stupid to not have the main title main event in the second night.
Exactly that. I mean, we knew, of course, about one of the matches on night 1, of course, which was Austin Theory versus John Cena. And we also knew it was opening, right?
Right. So it's for those who are, I've seen, I looked on Twitter and loads of people are questioning. So because that's the big name that's on top of the promo and all that on the
new
paper,
graphic,
on the graphic and stuff, people are now saying, "What is that main event in?" But they've already said that that's opening. So I think it's because Cena's the bigger name, it's a big way to talk about the opening and then the ending. It's like a bookend for the graphic, right?
That's
or am I reading that wrong?
No, that makes sense. I understand that. Yeah, that's a kind of good way of putting it. All right, now speaking of that graphic, we're going to bring it up here in just a moment. Like I said, this is the first time I've actually seen this as well. So, well, properly at least. Let's have a look, Rob. What have we got going on night 1 and night 2? Okay, so night 1, as you said, we're opening up. It seems, or it looks like from this graphic, like you say, it could be the main event. But we're opening up with night 1 with John Cena, Austin Theory. Like I said, we knew that already. Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley, which again we assumed would be on night 1. The Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Now the 2 matches there that we really kind of debated about what should be night 1's main event. So they're both on night 1. We know at least Becky Lynch, Lita, Trish Stratus versus Damage Control is on night 1. Seth Freakin Rollins versus Logan Paul. Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio, and then the men's fancy pants tag team match. Then we've got, of course, headlining night 2, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, Bianca Belair versus Asuka. I could have seen that going on night 1, so I guess that makes sense if you've got Charlotte and Rhea on night 1. Gunther, Drew, and Sheamus. Interesting that that's on night 2. I think that's going to be a huge heavy hitter. And another one, wow, very stacked on night 2 here with Edge and Finn Balor. I think at any other time, those 2 matches and the main event are worthy of a main event. And Brock Lesnar versus Omos, surely when it dips in the night, or maybe even the opener. And then the women's fancy pants over the top rope, well, it's not over the top rope, it's just over the top booking. But tag team, whatever the crap match they've got going on there. I'm sure the match will be good, don't get me wrong. If you want to know our thoughts on the matches overall, check out our opinions on the predictions shows that we've done throughout the week. Rob and Lucas, Dan and Lucas, I should say, did a predictions preview, and myself and Rob did the red carpet preview earlier on this week as well. So go there for a deep dive into the matches and predictions.
Why is Snoop Dogg in that graphic?
Yeah, I don't know.
I've only just noticed that.
He's clearly booked. So Snoop Dogg's going to be at WrestleMania, even though they haven't announced it properly, it seems. So what are you thinking, mate? Night 1 and night 2?
Oh, look, I'm excited for both nights. I think mainly for there's a few matches, as I said, there's matches that I really, really want to see, and matches that annoyingly I just don't care about, and that's because the way they've booked the matches is not the wrestlers, because I think all of them are, they're all great performers. But we said in a group chat, this is the first time that we've said certain matches shouldn't be main eventing, and like we literally said this before we went live, and I never thought I'd say a women's match shouldn't be main eventing a paper or a PLE, especially WrestleMania, when they haven't done a booking. I mean, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos has to main event night one. Like, it has to, surely.
I mean, yeah, a lot of people are taking this as kind of fact, therefore, that the main event looks to be the women's match. And again, I hate to be in the mode of kind of dissing it and saying it doesn't deserve to be there. The last thing you want is a kind of, what do you call it, like a debate and kind of uprising around the women's match. It's not what I want. No. But realistically, it doesn't deserve the top spot. So, yeah, again, a lot of people are looking at it. I guess if you look at the graphic here as well, you can see, well, not there, we've blurred it out, of course, on the thumbnail. Here we go. You can see Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley is the highest one after Cena and Theory. And if Cena and Theory are opening, does that mean the one at the top is the main event?
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, you can never tell with the way they do their graphics, but it's the first time they've kind of done something like this, and it's now called in speculation of what's main eventing. I never thought I'd have a conversation on, well, this is main event in night one. You would think if it isn't Cena and Theory, it would be another title match. Now, again, I'm not moaning about the women's title match. I want to see it, but they've not booked it in a way which makes me think I'm interested.
Deserves to be main event, yeah.
And the thing is, it's the Royal Rumble winner as well. So you'd think the Royal Rumble winner should main event the night.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Even then, we're debating the tag team title should be main eventing. So what does that say about their booking?
Yeah. Well, it tells you one thing. Everyone in that tag team title match has kind of been protected, but worked their butts off. I'm not saying that the women haven't worked hard. Really enjoyed Rhea winning the Rumble, but yeah, storyline-wise, it's just not where you'd imagine it should be, So again, we've said it throughout the week, and a lot of people have said the same. Just because it's a women's title match doesn't mean it should automatically main event. And again, I hate that we're still speculating about it and that we're still kind of... I just feel like in this time, the fans are bubbling up and really going against it. And the last thing I want is for us to get a groan when we realize that match is going on last. Again, it could outperform and it could be a great match and a great moment, but the investment just isn't there. Like if Rhea Ripley wins, she's not a baby face. The best we can get out of that match is the crowning of Rhea Ripley, and she's not a baby face, so it's not going to be what it could be, at another point in her career or another point in the storyline. It's just not that. So why are we not ending with... Well, again, we might be. We don't know. But if you've written it that way... I mean, truth be told, the way it is written looks like, as you said, John Cena, Austin Theory, main event. I mean, what would you say if that was the case?
Well, I'll be slightly confused, bearing in mind they said they're opening the show. So clearly there's a reason why they're main eventing. And again, I have no issue with Cena and Theory being a main event if they didn't say that they were opening. I think, that would make sense. It'd give the US title something to talk about. Cena is a massive draw, whether you like him or not. He's a big draw, same as Brock, same as Ronda. So they're entitled to that top spot because of what they've done and how big of a name they are. Plus, it puts Theory in a good position, and it takes away people talking about there even being a world heavyweight title on the line. But as I said in the group chat, in my opinion, we've not had the tag titles be so important, and right now they seem more important than the women's championships.
Which is a good thing, again, they're within their division, they're equal. They are the top prize in a division. So it's okay for that to be on, just like the conversation is, well, doesn't a women's title match deserve to go in last? Well, we could say the same thing about the tag titles, and realistically, at this moment in time, that storyline is it doesn't mean as much as the main title because it's not the main title and because Roman's not involved, but it's very close. I think most people, if there was a storyline you ask people randomly on the street, or if we ask people in the chat, guys, let us know in the chat. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
What storyline you most invested in WWE at the moment, or for the past 6 months at least, is going to be Bloodline related. Now, they've split that story into two. So some of them are going to trail into the Roman stuff and the Cody side of it, and some of them will trail into the Sammy stuff as well. Now, obviously, if Sammy was in the main event, it would be nuclear. It would be like it was for Elimination Chamber. But they have split it up. And you get the best of both worlds this way. And because of that, they should both headline their respective nights. So, again, we're not entirely sure, guys, if the women's match is going to headline. And I hate to be here with our pitchforks and things like that and kind of battering down the doors of WWE headquarters to kind of demand that the women should have main event. This is not what we're saying here. It's just that realistically, it's not the match and the build and the story that it should have been. Or could have been. So anyway, let's move away from the main event for now. But guys, let's know in the comments what you think about this lineup here for night 1 and night 2. What I will say, let's get into the positives, mate. It's amazing. You look at both nights and I think, man, like wrestling's good at the moment. Wrestling is we've got so many great matches to look forward to here, and so many ones that have been built with great storylines. And a few, as we said, like the women's title match and the other women's title match and the women's 6-woman tag match. Unfortunately, all women seem to be struggling with it at the moment. Matches themselves, I think, are going to be, going to have huge potential. It's just the storyline and the investment is the only issue I've got here. But the matches themselves, when you look at this card on paper, both sides of it, mate, it looks great.
Yeah. I mean, we're having a night 1 and a night 2. We're being spoiled at WrestleMania. Before we used to moan about it. But looking at that card, if you just took the Saturday card itself, and then that was your PLA,
and you're like, that's WrestleMania, you'd be like, that's pretty good.
Oh, and we're getting another night. And do you know what else I like as well? A lot of people that seem to be complaining again. But Edge versus Finn Balor, yes, it's in the Hell in a Cell. Obviously, we're going back to the original. It's the Silver Cell.
That's it. We've seen the photos of leaks as well. So pleased about that.
So that's one thing. And the next thing, the fact that cell is going to be hanging there for the first night, making people hungry to watch that match.
Oh,
surely, like
that's a good point.
People are going to obviously look up at it. They always do. When we've been to shows and pay-per-views and whatnot, and there's a special attraction, you're looking for that special attraction. So definitely, I really can't wait for that. I mean, night 2 as well. To be honest, I want to see that open the show.
Do you think that? Opening up with Hell in a Cell sounds like
it's a bold move.
I've made a pay-per-view on an old SmackDown game. That's what it feels like. SmackDown 2, SmackDown 1, where you could make a pay-per-view and kind of go for it. That's what I feel like we're doing there. Yeah. But okay, let's try and see what we think could happen on night 2 then. Because my only fear is that night 2 is very
stacked. I think it's both of them feel stacked.
Yeah, night 1 is stacked with like great matches and some great stories as well. Night 2 is stacked with a mixture of the same, but when again you put it on paper, I could definitely see at another time if they had put Roman and Cody on the other night, I could see Gunther, Drew, and Sheamus being a main event. I could see Edge and Balor being a main event simply because it's a long blood feud with two veterans now, of course from different generations, but still both veterans of the industry and in a Hell in a Cell match, So like there are many potential main events throughout both evenings here at WrestleMania.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's literally crazy. I mean, normally we always get a booking of, oh, well, that's a toilet break, or we're not bothered about this one. And yes, we've said there's a few matches we aren't bothered about. But in a way that they're, storyline wise, it's not that we don't want to see the match. It's just they didn't make us invested. Now, if we're not invested, we're not going to want to watch it. But on the night, the match could steal the show. Women put on so many great performances. I mean, let's look at the when the women main evented. The only thing that went wrong was the finish, but that was such a what a match that was. So and if you go back to NXT when we had Bayley versus Sasha, the Iron Woman match, so good. So they're given the time.
This is the thing. I hope they. I know to them, if they hear all this trickling through Rhea and Charlotte as people, they're going to think, well, like people don't want to see us, and it's not that, like I don't want them to feel like that if they do, because some idiots are bound to be tweeting at them and stuff like that as if it's their fault. If they are main eventing, or even if they're not, but like they know they're gonna have a bit of a presence of what's going on here with the community online. So I don't want it to be seen as proving the fans wrong, because the fans aren't wrong. Like, I know I'm talking for myself, it's easy to say I'm not wrong, but I genuinely believe that, like, we are all right in our thinking that this match and the other women's matches haven't been built in a way that they could have been. So I hope they prove the people that didn't invest in them wrong, if that makes sense. You know, the people that didn't give them time on TV or whatever it may have been, or those that have maybe booked the storyline in a certain direction that it's kind of made it not feel as important. I hope they have that fire to prove them wrong, and I do hope that we get a main event caliber match from Rhea and Charlotte, even if it isn't the actual main event. And I think we could.
Yeah, we really could, and I think that's the issue. As we were saying, any of them women's matches, like title matches, or I mean, technically, any of the matches could main event that we've got at the moment. But we're talking just women's matches. Both of the women's, yes, could main event. But then again, we were talking about like making titles credible and want something and meaning more. Yet, what are they doing with the women's tag team titles? Like, so we can't then say, "Oh, Charlotte versus Rhea needs to main event because it's a title." But what about the women's tag titles? They're not even being defended.
They're not even defended, so, even though the champions are on the card, and even though they've just won the title.
So how do you justify that? That you can't justify saying, "Oh, well, the women need more shine and all this sort of stuff." You've got two legends and Becky Lynch and Bayley, which are future Hall of Famers, against another two that are gradually growing up into, hopefully, to be another two Hall of Famers in the women's division. And they've got tag titles, and instead they just put on, you know what I mean? So I don't understand. It is a wasted opportunity. You want women to shine, so you put more on the card. But as you said, is it a payday? Is it just where are we going with it? Because I mean, if we go into what we said, go back and check our predictions. But we said, so if Trish does turn in the tag match, what road does that lead us down? Because now she's feuding with one person, and one person's got tag titles. I'd understand it if she was with Charlotte or Rhea, and then turned and that built for a title match. But we're getting nothing from
it. She'd need a mate anyway, maybe it'd be her and Bayley. I don't know.
Bad booking.
Maybe.
That's what I'm saying. And it's things like this where we're saying, oh, if they're doing bad booking, what are they doing? The thing that at the moment everyone is talking about is the Usos versus Cena and Owens being main event. And I literally think that has to main event. It's too big to not.
Yeah. It'd be a massive deflation. If even if the Usos win, I don't think that's the problem either. You know, I think fans will be so deflated if the match we get, especially if it doesn't deliver, is the women's match. You know, and again, I'm not saying it won't deliver. I'm just saying the risk is there and the pressure will be on them, and it won't be fair. Do you know what I mean? It's like you look back in history. You know, when Undertaker Shawn Michaels was followed by Triple H and Randy Orton, like it was a bad decision, you know, like it sucked the air out of the place, and it just wasn't great. I
think sometimes you have to look at the card and go, okay, look, I understand you're a champion, but right now it's not about you and the title, it's about this story here. And if they're able to move this championship ego out of the way and allow us just to have, well, this is the important thing, this is what it's main eventing, then I don't think it's an issue. Because I mean, let's face it, if the main event of WrestleMania is the final match of WrestleMania, then no one's main eventing anyway. It's Roman and Cody.
Yeah, I guess the idea is that it'd be nice if one night at least the women could main event, and that is great. But when the storyline calls for it, I'm up for both nights ending with women's matches. You know, like, but the storyline just doesn't call for any of these matches to go in that top spot. You know, so and again, the tag titles, it's not like they're not championships themselves. And I can kind of see them putting the women's one on last, because in their head they think they've built it well, maybe, and then they say, well, there we go. Don't laugh, mate. And then they say, well, this is us making it important. We've put it on last. I guess there's that argument as well.
All right. So, but let's look at let's play devil's advocate, right? So let's say, yes, we want a women's to main event. So we get Rhea and Charlotte. That's the main event night one, right? Where's the legacy in that title right now when Charlotte's not had it that long? However, the Usos have been holding the titles for how long? How credible have they made them? How many defensive have they had? They broke a record currently holding these titles. There's such a big buzz on them right now. There's a rocket on those tag titles. So whoever dethrones the Usos is massive. Like, I literally think that has to be the bigger match. And that's not because I'm a Uso
Great
fan.
point.
I'm literally just saying they've done so much with the tag titles.
There's so much beyond it. Yeah, like
big,
the tag title, the tag titles alone is enough reason to main event, let alone the Sami Zayn factor, and let alone just the fact it'll probably be a brilliant match again, just like Rhea and Charlotte could be, but Charlotte doesn't have those two other things burning behind it like
and on top
the tag
of it,
title match does.
Look at it this way. Let's say about 6-7 years ago, the tag titles were being defended on a kickoff show, and we didn't even see the titles. We see a title match happen.
Same could be said for the women's matches as well.
So it's nice that we're debating about what one should be main eventing and which one has the credibility to be main event. Both of them do have that caliber, but in the fact that storytelling, if it's not that much of a big deal, we wouldn't have got that moment at Royal Rumble. We wouldn't have got that moment at Elimination Chamber. We wouldn't have had it at War Games. All of this has been leading to it. So if it's that much of a big deal, let the damn thing pay off at main event of WrestleMania. It only makes sense.
Like I think even just when you put it down to that, Sami Zayn cannot not main event a night at WrestleMania. Do you know what I mean? Like that doesn't make any sense to me for him to not main event a night at WrestleMania after the year this man has had. It would be a real shame. Again, I said it earlier on, but we'll try and move away from some of the debate around the main event. Let's talk about the card, the rest of it as well, and how it shapes up. So, of course, we talked about the Usos match, the women's title match there as well. We've got the 6 women tag match going on the first night. Do you think, now I've seen a lot of people say this could happen with either the Cena match or the 6 women tag match. Do you think there's a possibility that either of those matches could lead to a match on night 2? Of course, we already touched on the possibility of Cena winning and an open challenge happening on Raw. I'm now starting to think that there could be a possibility where Cena open challenges on night 2, loses it, or gets to Theory again somehow, and then Theory has to put it as a night challenge as a basically on Monday as well. So basically what I'm thinking is that maybe Cena could win it and say, look, I'm going to give you another chance tomorrow, but the one condition is you have to give someone else a chance on Monday because of the heritage of the US title and the open challenge and all that stuff. And on Monday, Austin Theory is forced into doing it, and he is surprised by someone like Cardona or Jay White, as we talked about on our Raw After Mania predictions video. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out, guys. But possibility of those guys coming in. Right. But that would hot potato the title a lot, is my only fear there.
My biggest fear, firstly, if he loses it night 1, this is Theory, right? So Theory loses it night 1. He does Cena does the open challenge. Theory comes out for night 2. Yeah, so with an open challenge night 2, Theory comes out. I guess they've got to do a little segment and say, I will only allow you to be the challenger for the title tonight if you then do the open challenge on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah,
right.
That's
so we get that moment. Theory wins. Okay, so he then beats Cena. Night 2, on Monday Night Raw, whoever comes out has to then beat Theory.
Yeah,
and what's the point?
It's a lot of hot potato in. It's just I'm jumping through a lot of hoops to make a lot of different things happen, I think. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised. Like we said on our predictions, that they could just swerve us because everybody's thinking Cena, he's going to leave and he's not going to.
I'll back Theory. I'm just saying.
That's the way around it. All right, let's go back to the schedule again. And the other one, as I mentioned there, is the 6 women tag match. You could potentially
night 2, isn't it? Yeah.
The baby faces winning the title, the match, and the heels winning the match and somehow earning their way into a title match or some sort of thing where Trish actually turns on night 2 rather than night 1. So there's that storybook photograph of the baby faces holding up their hands together that they can promote in the future. But realistically, on night 2, she actually then costs them the title. Somehow she convinces them to put the titles on the line or something like that. I don't know why they wouldn't have booked this in advance, but again, I wouldn't be surprised with them using night 1, night 2 like this.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'd look. We get to see Lita, Trish, and Becky versus Damage Control. Any other time, I'd be like, this is great. But when it comes to Mania, and it means nothing. The only thing this is building, right, is a feud between Becky and Bayley. Now, if you're going to do that feud and you want it to be about something, then why wasn't it about the women's championship?
Mm.
Why wasn't
Why
that
are
the
the
thing that
tag titles
why are the
not
tag titles hot potato in between both
and
teams
not being
and not being
kind
used?
of
Like,
used
just
on the show?
do something, like make it important, because if you're trying to book these 6 women as a main thing to, like, okay, we're going to do this, and these are the stars of now, and these are the stars of the past, and Becky's kind of jumbled up in that middle bit, then what for? Why have they got the tag titles? They've got the tag titles so to have this match.
Mm.
But then we've still got Lita and Becky with tag titles.
So
So
confusing.
they have to lose them at some point. And if they lose them to Damage
Yeah.
Control, why did we lose them in the first place? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
Make it make sense. Like you said, we did touch on this quite a bit already in our red carpet preview, so please check that out if you haven't. And as well, as I mentioned earlier on, we have
I can't stop looking at Snoop Dogg now, by the way.
Dan,
now I know he's
we also had Dan and Lucas in the non-Snoop Dogg edition of the predictions and preview as well. But yeah, we'll see what Snoop Dogg has to do at WrestleMania. Right, let's move on. Seth Rollins, Logan Paul night 1, Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio night 1. My goodness, this is stacking up. And then a potential for, again, as much as I've crapped all over the match, because again, it kind of means nothing, this tag match, a potential for a good match at least. So again, as we said earlier on, a very strong looking night 1 when you look at that card. I mean, particularly Rollins versus Logan Paul is going to be athletic. That's the only word I could use for it. And Mysterio versus Mysterio, which still feels really strange to say. I think probably the same word could be used, but also emotional. I think that has the potential to be a real important moment in WrestleMania history. So, what do you think about those two matches in particular being thrown onto the same night?
I think it makes sense because you've got a stacked card on the night 2, and I think if you swap one. The question is, what do you swap? Because if you put a Hell in a Cell in night 1, then it overlooks something. If you put, if you've got a Hell in a Cell, because it's a big thing. That's exactly. That's what I'm saying. If the Hell in a Cell opens night 2, then their big payoff is at the end.
I would personally
that way.
Maybe switch one of those high flying excitement, because again, I think the men's one's going to be the same. The men's tag one might be the same due to people like Street Profits being in it, Ricochet as well. But like you say, what do you swap it with? And if we get maybe even...
I don't Brock and Omos on night 1. Like, honestly, night 1 to me,
maybe I would have done
amazing.
That. I think I probably would have switched Brock and Omos for
Rey and Dom.
Nah, Seth and Logan Paul, because Rey and Dom I would keep separate from Edge and Balor, like it is at the moment. So Seth and Logan Paul being quite a similar match to Rey and Dom potentially as far as style. I don't want them to get lost in the shuffle. I'd rather they were separated. I think that's the only kind of complaint I have, and that's a minor
I'd
complaint.
accept that. I'm very excited. So Brock and Omos swapping with Seth.
Yeah, just a little bit of a style kind of mix up. But what we've got on night 2, as we said, Belair and Asuka, again, another match that I've just kind of not seen that much hype around lately, which is a real shame considering both of those are absolute stars. Good for Drew and Sheamus. See, this is what I mean. Good for Drew and Sheamus. It won't be exactly the same as Brock and Omos, but somewhat similar. Like they're going to go different lengths, but they're both going to be hard hitting in different ways. So that's what I mean. Like if we could have had the kind of high flying and hard hitting on one night, high flying, hard hitting on the next night. Instead,
it would have equaled
what we've ended up with is 2 high flying matches on the first, 2 hard hitting on the second. So again, very different between themselves. 2 different hard hitting and 2 high flying potential different matches as well. But I just think it would have been a little bit more balanced. Personally speaking, I think I probably would have gone for maybe Brock and Rey, and then Seth, the Brock and Omos versus, and then the Seth and Logan match, and Mysterio tied up with Gunther, Drew, and Sheamus as well. But hey, again, now we're just picking on little things really, because either way, these are 2 incredible nights of action. Well, on paper at least.
Well, yeah. So just obviously, I know we want to talk about the main event. Obviously, we're going to get into that a bit later. But do you now see my prediction slightly happening even closer? I'll give it a rundown for Cody and Roman. So my prediction is Roman retains. Cody loses because of Solo Sikoa, because the Usos and the Sami Zayn and Owens are the newly crowned tag team champions. So they come out. Usos come out first. The tag champs come out after. That breaks down. Solo Sikoa comes out, hits Cody with the Samoan spike. Roman gets his win. Now, to me, it's looking more and more like it's going to happen because Cody has now beat Solo, and he's beaten his undefeated streak. So there's a reason for him to be involved.
This is the thing. We did do our predictions before Raw, and like you say, since then, Cody. Depends what happens on SmackDown though, because Cody could now get beat up on SmackDown, but he might not be used on SmackDown. So usually, you kind of go into the pay-per-view in the opposite way of how you're going to come out of it. So, well, it seems to be a cliche that a lot of people buy into anyway. So, Cody's looking good. So that does kind of look like Cody ain't looking good at the end of WrestleMania potentially. And like you say, Solo losing it. I'm in two minds about that. Have they made Solo lose it because that's given Cody something before he loses? Or have they made Solo lose because they're like, yeah, this means something. This is building towards what Cody's going to do eventually. Because Cody doesn't need to beat Solo. At the end of this, if Cody doesn't win, Solo is no longer undefeated and Cody is not champion. So it's not that great. It gives a reason for Cody to be ambushed by Solo, but it doesn't help either of them going forward. Whereas Cody beating... at least there's something to come of Solo's loss, basically. It was to build up Cody's eventual conquering of the bloodline.
I get it, and it does make sense. Do I want Cody to win? Yes. Do I want him to win at Mania? Yes. Like, that's 100%. Like, we love Cody when he was doing the dashing, when he started with Legacy and up. It gets a bit annoying, and at first he reminded me of, how the Miz was, like, you didn't like him, he's a bit annoying, but it grows on you. Since Cody left, done his stuff and went to Japan and Bullet Club and AEW, come back again. This is a different Cody. Like, he's matured, he's grown up in his wrestling, he's matured in wrestling, he understands the business better. This is a different Cody. And I think the love that people have for him now is completely different. And I mean, that just goes by his entrance alone when they shout "Whoa" to his song, right? That is madness. How loud they're getting, and it's only getting louder. Right?
It is, Mania is going to be mad. I mean, last year, the moment where he come out was like incredible. It was such one of my favorite WrestleMania moments already. But this year's one, it won't be the same because it's not a return. But like that many more people behind him, that many more people familiar with the song and that part of the song, like you say, it's going to be incredible.
Yeah, but what I was going to say is, so Cody needs to, as he quotes and calls it, finish the story. Now, this is what I keep thinking, and I think we're too sucked into what he's saying. Finishing the story is him becoming a WWE champion. We don't care about that Universal title. Dusty didn't hold that, right?
He didn't hold either of them, but he wanted to hold the
WWE one. That was the importance. That was what it meant at that time when Dusty was around, the WWE championship. Dusty didn't hold it. Finishing the story doesn't necessarily mean finishing the story at WrestleMania. Finishing the story means becoming the WWE champion. So I think we're being too sucked into this idea of getting that glorious moment of being at Mania. I'm telling you, it's going to happen at Crown Jewel on the 1,000 Days of Roman. It has to.
All right. So if you want to know more about what Rob thinks there, check out our main preview that me and Rob did a few days ago on this channel, which is now available on demand. But thank you, everyone that's joined us live at the moment. Whether you're live or demand, we'd love to hear from you and what you think about these two nights. Sock Sniff here, what a name, says night 2 is most of the matches I'm waiting for. Lesnar versus Omos, Edge versus Balor, Gunther versus Drew versus Sheamus, and Roman versus Cody. Again, when you put it like that, mate, it sounds stacked. I'm surprised you're the first person that said you're like really looking forward to Lesnar versus Omos. So that's quite good to hear. We're into different things, but as wrestlers, no, I said on the preview, didn't I? Like, I'm actually not against it as much as a lot of people, but I'm still not going. Can't wait for it. I'm excited. I'm intrigued. I think the big F5 is going to happen. And it's going to be kind of a bring you back down and a bit of a spectacle, kind of go within 5 minutes. And that's kind of be it. But I haven't seen anyone super excited about it. Go on.
Did you see Brock and Omos on Raw? Bro, the last time we see Brock move like that was like 2004. Like he running the ropes and throwing himself at Omos.
He's having a great time.
Great. He looked well good. And I tell you what, before we see that, and we were talking about it, I was like, I'm not really bothered. After I see that difference in Brock Lesnar and Omos just standing there taking it,
I was
like,
how much you can sell a match.
I'm invested. Like,
I'm looking forward to it, man. Again, it's not like up there, top tier for me or anything like that. But I'm not as down on it as most people were when it was, or even as I was when it was first announced. I got to be honest. Socksniff again. Thank you for your comments, mate. Night one only really has Cena versus Theory, Usos versus Zayn, and Owens, Rollins versus Logan. The rest I'm not as interested in. I think you'd be right there, mate. I think we've been saying the same sort of thing, really. That when you look on paper, both nights, and I wonder if you'd agree with this as well, mate. But both nights on paper do look fantastic. Like night one could be a WrestleMania on its own, as we said earlier on. Potentially, all right. You could argue there's no world title match, there's no Roman Reigns, but realistically, it's a huge card at the same time. The problem is those women's matches that haven't been invested in throughout WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2, as we've mentioned a few times on the stream already. But again, on paper, it is something that we should be looking forward to because I think it should be a great match. I'm just not as invested. But I get what you're saying there. I think Cena Theory is a big one. It's been built quite well. The tag match is probably the best built match at the moment, other than Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. And Rollins versus Logan Paul is just going to be an incredible, I guess, I don't want to say spot fest, but it's going to be a big night because of that match. Go on, Rob. What were you going to say?
So I was going to say, so I'm not sure if you've seen, if you listen to Impulsive, apparently WrestleMania is Logan's last WWE appearance.
Yeah, that's a bit... Okay, we'll get into that, actually. Maybe we'll get into that on the build-up show. That'd be an interesting point to bring up, actually. And also says, Ray versus Dominic, so scrubbed at night 2 doesn't have the majority of matches I want to see. Oh, yeah, it's all right. Don't worry. There's 4 matches each night, so I'm most interested in seeing it. It's 50-50 by me enthusiasm for night. That's a good point. I think you're kind of matching up with me and Rob here. So 2 matches I mainly want to see is higher. Yeah, so it's a great point in there. But anyway, thank you so much for your comments there, mate. And anyone else watching live or on demand, we really do appreciate it. Please drop your comments. Let us know what you think of this announcement, really, of night 1 and night 2's full card. Well, full card for now, as I said earlier on. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these matches on night 1 actually led to impromptu matches on night 2, but we'll talk a little bit more about that, I think, on the build-up show as well. Again, if you're new here, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're new or you've been here 100 times already, we'd ask that you subscribe, as all good YouTubers do, and we thank you so much for joining us. We are the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, and this week we've been covering WrestleMania real in depth. We had our red carpet preview that me and Rob did the other day. Our friends Dan and Lucas also on this channel did a predictions and preview episode as well. And also coming up on the night of the PLE, talking Saturday and Sunday, we've got our world famous build-up shows for, well, just time for WrestleMania, but we do them for every PLE basically, guys.
Is it world famous?
Well, people watch around the globe, so
let's sell it as that.
Let's sell it as that. Yeah. It's a great time. We do these really fun laid-back streams on the night of a PLE a few hours before, and we get yourself and ourselves hyped up for the show. That's the idea, and as if you need much more hyping up for WrestleMania, but we're here to do it anyway. And I always come out of those streams, I don't know about you, Rob, but feeling rejuvenated and super pumped the event. Even if the card's not that good, we come out thinking this is going to be great.
A little bit, but you know what? I think I get a bit worn out doing these because we have to have so much energy that we're not boring the people watching. By the time we're finally like watching the show, I'm like, I'm tired.
I know. Well,
and then we have to get through it because of the UK.
You've got to build up that enthusiasm until after it, because WrestleMania, I'm sure, will keep you entertained and excited. But then after that, of course, we're aiming to come back with a night 1 and night 2 instant reaction as well. And of course, our regular recap and review should be coming sometime after WrestleMania as well. But again, thank you so much for joining us, guys. Please let us know in the comments once again, guys, what you're thinking about this announcement that WWE made today of what is taking place on night 1 and what is taking place on night 2. We're going to get to some more comments here again from our new buddy Socksniff. It also says, as far as 2 fatal 4-way matches, 3 matches involving the women, I'm meh on them, mate. Exactly that, and it shouldn't be that case. The case for the women's matches. I would argue that the men's and women's multi-person tag matches, either way, I feel the same way about that because they just don't have stakes. They're not title matches. They're not number 1 contender matches. It's literally the payday, and I'm all for that. The payday match is fine, but usually they disguise it as an IC title ladder match, or a number 1 contenders match, or an Andre the Giant Battle Royal. What they're doing here is just throwing people in a match and going. And they're calling it showcase. I'm sure they will be a showcase. And I'm sure these wrestlers will see it as an opportunity to showcase their craft to the back office and to be included in storylines going forward. But for me, come on. Like, these matches need to have some sort of stakes to them as an audience member goes. You know what I mean?
100%. I'm really concerned about. I think the men's one will be okay. Both of them should have been stipulations for the tag titles moving forward.
Yeah.
But obviously neither of them are. The men's one, I'm thinking, is going to be more of a showcase style. Like, he's going to put on something. As I said, we said about the idea of Montez Ford and Ricochet diving on both of the Viking Raiders or jumping over each other or doing one splash and another one, so they're in unison. I feel like that's going to happen. They kind of already showed that they can do that over Braun Strowman, I think, on Raw. So I think they're going to do something to up the ante on that and make that bigger and better. And obviously, the one night that you can do it and really showcase what you are, that's the time they're going to do it. Maybe that, or they're going to do like a double dive in unison. I know I would like to see all the guys outside the ring and Braun Strowman just over the top rope. Just why not? I mean, so it could happen. The thing is, I'm concerned about the women's because all the people in there are stacked in, like, they're good wrestlers. But I just, what's it for? So obviously, I know we're saying about the same thing as the men. What's it for? But I think even less so about the women.
Yeah,
like,
because they're not, most of them, I think, well, all of them aren't really. I mean, you could argue Shayna and Ronda have been mates for a long time. But yeah, it's they're not exactly known tag teams, are they?
No, and obviously, look, it's very clear on this podcast that I'm not the biggest fan of Ronda, but surely she should be in a higher position on the card than this. And I say that with the most respect
as
for
a
the rest of the women.
Fan,
as a non-Ronda fan, bro, she's like sniffing around literally like lower mid card for what? Like, you know, and the thing is, they can't even say it's for the women's tag titles, because if they cared that much about the women's tag titles, they would be on the line at WrestleMania. And clearly they don't care. So
yeah, again, like we mentioned it in our preview, but that was the rumor that they were going to be going after that. And I just think that would have been a lot better. And I think muddying the waters, as we said earlier on as well, with the 6-woman tag match that doesn't have the titles, was just a strange decision. You know, it just I really don't understand it. But again, we've touched on it already within our predictions episode the other day. But you mentioned the women's one there. Again, as far as participants, we're looking at Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, who aren't traditionally a tag team. Liv's had a few tag team partners throughout the last few years, so that shows you that.
They've got history, though, haven't they?
Do they?
I'm sure they do have history.
We've got Natalya and Shotzi. Again, Natalya, who's actually had some decent runs with thrown together tag teams in the past few years. We're talking about someone also on the screen here. Shayna Baszler was a partner of hers for a little while. We had her teaming with, who else did she team up with? Tamina. I actually really enjoyed that. That was WrestleMania last year, wasn't it? Or was it the year before now? Oh, year before now, I think it was. And also, of course, Ronda and Shayna feel like the most kind of compatible as a tag team, and I really hope they actually win this. Now, we've got to do our predictions for this, by the way, Rob, on the build-up show, because of course,
I know my answer
after our predictions. And also up here, we got Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green, another thrown together team. And it seemed like it was going to be Chelsea Green and
Carmella, right?
Carmella, yeah. Didn't quite work out that way, and of course, we've got Sonya Deville instead. So it couldn't feel more thrown together, in my opinion. And again, the fact it's not for anything is a real disappointment. But hey,
you know,
we've touched on this quite a bit already. So go on.
You know what frustrates me, and I think you know what I'm going to say, right? Is we're getting loads of thrown together women's tag teams, and I'm trying to think. Oh, what are they called? The Iconics. Why do you get rid of a damn tag team that were already a tag team? Like, stop putting together women's tag teams when we had one that was credible.
I know, but even this, like, at least, like, why is this not the tag title match?
I don't know. This is what they should have done. They should have done a 4-way women's tag title championship scramble. That would have been crazy.
Would be cool. Yeah, but
because you could have had all 4 women at the same time and just,
or even like just number 1 contenders, just
something.
They could still make these both number 1 contender matches. They could still do that.
My hope is the men's get the ladder match and it becomes for a number 1 contenders. Which
but
is great.
Even that, like, what? Okay, what you climbing to get? Number 1,
a contract.
Yeah, but if it's not a number one contender match.
Well, that's what it'd only be a ladder.
Yeah,
it should be a
that's
ladder.
yeah, and that was my next
That's
point. Like, it can't be a ladder match for nothing. Why are you putting yourself online for nothing?
Yeah, it has to be for the titles, like tag
just
titles,
for a W in your column. Like, that's all great and all. Yeah, and you could argue, like, I'm talking kayfabe wise now. Like, wrestler, of course, as a person, they just want to be on the show, and I'm all 100%. For it. And I think they're gonna pull something out of the bag quite special. I'm sure, you know. But as a character, what is it? What's in it for any of these people? Like, why would you bother? It just,
and the thing
other
is,
than the babyface who might want to.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, why? Even if the women do go right and the men go, it looks like they're doing the same sort of booking. So, is it only 2 men and they have to tag in, tag out? Is it all 4 going at the same time? Like, what?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they make something different, split them up. If they're going to be a showcase, make them be for a reason. Make it as a tornado. You know, so like everyone's in the ladder at the same time and make it busy. Because if it's busy, people aren't going to complain because stuff's happening. Everyone gets the time to do their spot. It then gets clustered.
Like, again, I think the matches could be good themselves, but they just don't mean anything.
It gets me angry. It gets me angry.
I can tell. Right. Anyway, like we said, I keep plugging it, but we've gone in depth on a lot of this stuff, so I don't want to tread old ground here too much. If you haven't seen it already, guys, please check out our red carpet preview. If us telling you, we spoke about this already, isn't enough to make you watch that stream, then let me tell you this: we also wore suits for the red carpet preview.
Yeah, we did.
And you can see me in a suit. Imagine that. Just imagine it. But now imagine this man over here in a suit wearing his mask. It was beautiful, as he said on that, like Rey Mysterio at the Hall of Fame. Also, speaking of Hall of Fame, we've done quite a lot of content this week surrounding the Hall of Fame. First of all, we did a fantastic, and I will say it was fantastic, Rob, because I had a great time doing it. Video about how to fix WWE WrestleMania week, because of course it has become quite congested over the past few years, and some shows have kind of lost a bit of their shine. So we kind of dug deep into that. Out of that came the conversation of how to fix the Hall of Fame. And what we're looking at here is 2 examples of that. Look at Bret Hart, both times he got inducted, and difference in kind of presentation. Of course, what infamously happened to Bret on that second one as well. So check that out if you're interested in hearing me, Rob, go deeper on our ideas on how to fix that as well. As I said earlier on, we did our predictions, but Dan and Lucas also did theirs. So if you get a chance, please check out their predictions for WrestleMania as well. And throughout the years here on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel, we've had the privilege of being able to interview some top stars in WWE, such as Rhea Ripley, the Raw Women's Champion at the moment, of course, Bianca Belair, Drew McIntyre, a real fun interview with Riddle on this channel as well. So if you haven't already, please check those out. But yeah, very important, I got to say, guys, you got to come back and join us on the build-up show this weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. Myself and Rob and some special guests on the stream as well. But anyway, Rob, have you got anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
What's the main match that you're looking forward to on night 1 and night 2? Or do night 1, then do night 2?
All right, what am I most looking forward to on night 1? Let's have a look. Night 1 for me. And again, guys, let us know in the comments what you would answer for this question from Rob as well. Now, for night 1, the match I'm most looking forward to it's gotta be I'm most looking for the moment of the Usos and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, the story there. Match wise, I'm going to cheat and do kind of 2. Maybe as a spectacle, I'm torn between Logan Paul and Seth and Ray and Dom. I'm not quite sure if Ray and Dom can live up to Logan and Seth because of, Dom is still quite new and Ray is obviously at the tail end of his career. But if there's any people that have worked together for years and years and used to each other and chemistry, it might be these 2. So it's going to be interesting to see. On night 2, I would say the match I'm looking forward to most as a match is definitely the Intercontinental title match. A close second would actually be Finn Balor versus Edge, just because I
Wow.
think there's a big potential there for a Hell in a Cell match between these two. I'm a bit concerned, of course. We've joked throughout the past few years on this channel about Edge kind of getting too much time, especially at WrestleMania. But like, we can't take it away from him how great of a performer he is. So I think this could be lightning in a bottle between those two. But again, now if we go towards storyline and the moment, of course, what I'm most looking forward to is just that hype and excitement around the main event and the potential for Cody Rhodes to make history here. What about you, mate? What are you thinking? Again, going back to night one, first of all.
Look, I don't want to make a cop out and go, the Usos versus Zayn and Owens, which I still think they need a name. Or just something. They need to be associated as something, right? Like Zoins or something like that.
Zoins.
All right. Obviously, I'm looking forward to that. Big Uso fan, and I love everything that Owens and Zayn have been doing. You know what they've done from NXT, before that in Ring of Honor, and so on. Obviously, as wrestling fans, we've followed them at the beginning, kind of more. I would say we see them more after they kind of joined WWE. Look back to see what they've done. Especially a lot of generic WWE fans because I don't know who they are. But that is generic. For me.
Good word when you're talking about Sami Zayn. Not for him, but of course his.
Well, you know,
his alter ego, or is it his alter ego? Who knows?
But I think for me, that match will be solid no matter what you do with it. I think the storyline is pushing what's going on. Obviously, the match is going to be great, but I think Austin Theory and John Cena could be the thing that's going to surprise everyone. Because
good point, man.
I don't know, man. I mean, Cena can still go. Theory's good,
especially if it is opening as well. I think there's going to be a great kind of way to get the fans pumped and excited. And like you said on our stream the other day, if we do get Austin Theory dressed up as John Cena.
You know, like Thugonomics John Cena as well. You know,
I love it.
And all that.
I love it because people would think he's coming out as like he did at Mania a few years ago. So like even that would be
just
great.
To troll the crowd, and then his music. Oh, it's just so good.
I'm sold, man. I really hope they do something like that.
Night 2 though.
Oh, night 2.
Again, I love the idea of Roman Cody. Obviously, I want to see Cody win. Yes, of course I do. But again, I don't think it's happening on night 2. I think it's happening at a later date. But the match I think I'm really looking forward to is the IC title match.
Yeah.
We spoke about that at Rumble, and we said we just want to get 6 guys together to throw them in the elimination chamber and just let them wreck everything.
We've been kind of salivating and building towards a match like this for months, haven't we? You're right.
Yeah. So, I mean, getting to see 3 of the 6 guys that we spoke about at elimination chamber doing it, you know, that's going to be great. What we're going to spoil in that match, by the way. I literally think that could be the match of night 2. Like it could be a match of the whole WrestleMania. You never know. But...
So again, I'll plug Dan Lucas's video if you haven't seen it already. But we also, if you follow us, we've got a brand new TikTok, by the way, guys, at RN Pro Wrestling. Please follow us there as well. And we've been posting some clips from some of these shows we've been doing as well. And there's a great clip on there from Lucas that's about to go up as well, explaining why he thinks this could be match of I don't want to explain. He doesn't just say match of the night, mate, but he goes a little bit deeper than that. So,
I see. I kept my eyes peeled on him.
And that'll be coming out as well. So that's been a good stream. This has been a good stream. Before we wrap up, mate, I want to drop one more little bit of information here. And of course, what do we notice about these cards, mate? It's not what's on them, it's what isn't on them.
The Miz?
No, not just the Miz. A match itself, which now feels officially not on WrestleMania. Been speculated for a few weeks, of course. Talking Bray Wyatt, Bobby Lashley.
I completely forgot about that.
Even written down. I felt like they were kind of pushing it for as long as they could to see. They started not talking about it to see maybe if the situation could be resolved, whether it was a health issue, whether it was contractual issue, whether it was an argument. We don't know what happened with Bray Wyatt, and if it is a health issue, of course we hope he gets better soon. But it's off, mate.
Well, that's ruined my WrestleMania. That's what that's done.
Yeah, mate. Like, and again, I don't want to go too deep on it just yet because we can talk a bit more about this in depth with hopefully some of our guests on the build-up show. But a real shame, man. This, and again, I don't want to dive on it and be like, oh, this whole run's been terrible from Bray, especially if it's something he cannot control at the moment, or if it's something where he agrees with that. But this just really dampens that this run even more, right? And it's a real shame for Bobby, and it's a real shame for Bray.
Look, if it is a medical condition of some sort, if it's an injury or or he's struggling with something else, then it's safer for whoever it is, Bobby or Bray, to be away from it. Otherwise, they're going to get worse. Yeah. So obviously, their health comes first. And I think especially with Triple H now being in charge, and you would have seen Alexa's taken time off before. Sasha has. A lot of guys, Seth took time off before. So a lot of guys are able to have that moment where, like, okay, maybe we need to step back and we'll book it for a later date. Yeah. Annoyingly, it was starting to be interesting straight away from the Muscle Man dance and all that. But
yeah.
It's, I don't know. I mean, yeah, do I want to see it? Yes.
It would have been good to see where the rest of the story would have went. You're right.
Because obviously we had the Uncle Howdy thing. The last we see, Uncle Howdy got spine busted, I believe, by Bobby Lashley, and that was that. Obviously we still got Alexa to come back at some point. Obviously she's recovering. Obviously she was unveiled as one of the Masked Singers. Spoiler. So if you'd seen that.
Also, she's unveiled as one of our predictions potentially for a Raw After Mania return. Again, we're not quite sure if that's gonna happen because again she's come back from a health issue as well. But that would be good. But yeah, it's been a real shame, hasn't it?
It has. I mean, I reckon even if they don't do that and if we don't get that match, I reckon they could still tease it. There's something there. Obviously, it's WrestleMania.
Yeah, because I was just thinking as well, like, surely Bray could do something at Mania. There still could be a moment, but then you think, oh, was there not enough time to just prepare them to get this match ready? I don't know.
I mean, I think, yes, it's a shame in general. But it would have been the first WrestleMania that Bray's back with this whole new gimmick and character and style and everything that's happening. And we already went into how good some of the stuff has been. All right, the dark match or whatever it was, Mountain Dew match wasn't the best, but spectacularly, the face paint, the mask, and all that, I was flabbergasted by how great it was. Like at the end, that moment with the mask and what that means. Imagine that at WrestleMania, it would have been even bigger. So we're not getting that, and that's a shame for both guys. But as you said, if it's a health issue or something like that, they need to be better first. Like their health is the main priority. So
definitely,
that in my opinion, I'd rather wait.
And if it all goes well and he returns, then, mate, what will that feel like? You know what? He should have probably been on our list for predictions for Raw After Mania returns at this rate. So check that out, guys. We did a great little sit down really between myself and Rob talking about all of the main rumors out there at the moment. You'll see some of those there on the fun there, of course. We're talking returns, we're talking debuts, and we're talking about kind of how we can see each one of those going down, how realistic even each one of those predictions are as well. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us, guys. I've been Scott. This one over here has been Rob. And we really do appreciate you joining us again. If you're here for the first time, thank you so much. Please subscribe. If you're here for the 10th time, we'd appreciate it if you come back and watch some more of our content as well. Like we said, we've got loads more coming up this week on both night 1 and night 2. We'll have a build-up show. So please stick with us on this channel where we're going to kind of get yourself and ourselves hyped up for the main event on Saturday night and on Sunday. After that, we'll hit you with an instant reaction review on both evenings as well. But if you're still in the mood for WrestleMania after watching this stream, that I would suggest checking out Dan and Lucas's predictions and preview, the red carpet preview that me and Rob did, and the countless interviews that we've got on this channel with WWE superstars as well. So thank you so much for joining us, guys. We will definitely be back very, very soon, and we'll see you on the continued road or red carpet, as we said earlier this week, to WrestleMania. See you in the next one.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.